Okay, today we're working on the fake Ferrari Testarossa, and we're gonna be trying to fix the goofy taillights and turn signals that are on this car. Let me explain. Okay, I'm not sure how to explain this exactly. I'm just gonna have to show you. So basically, this fake Ferrari Testarossa is built on a 1989 Pontiac GTA. Now, as far as I know, there were some versions of the Trans Am that had amber turn signals, and then others that did not. The average Firebird or Trans Am just had a red tail light, and when you turned on the blinker, your tail light would blink. But the Testarossa, being a European car, would have a yellow turn signal. So I guess that when they built this thing, they didn't really know how to make that work. So they just, let me show you. If I get in the car, let me jump in here. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this with the daylight on, but if I turn the running lights on, you'll see that. And then let me turn the thing on here. If I hit the brakes, you'll see that the turn signal is coming on as the brake light. When I turn on the turn signal, the whole thing is blinking at the same time, right? It shouldn't be doing that, right? It's jacked up, okay? So that's not how it's supposed to work. Okay, so what I have to fix this thing is, it's a 2-wire to 3-wire tail light converter. This is made for trailers. Allows vehicles with a 2-wire system to tow vehicles with a 3-wire system. I don't know if they had these back in '89, I don't know. But basically, what I want to do is hook up the blinker that is also a tail light into this thing, and then convert it off so that on here, we want the red lights to be just brake lights and running lights, and then the blinker, the yellow amber part, to be just the turn signal, or blinker, as we say in America. So that's what this little thing is supposed to do. And I haven't actually opened it yet, but we'll check it out here. I ordered this online. I'll put a link to it if I can. But basically, this one here, so as you get, we'll look real close. It says right stop and turn, left stop and turn, right turn, left turn, stop, input, output, right? So this way, this one red wire goes to just the brakes. I don't even think we're gonna have to deal with that because I think the brake lights already work, right? And then I also need to get that third brake light working. It's not working. I don't know if that's because the bulbs are out or if it has a bad contact somewhere. I think that it makes contact on that top, that little thing there where the trunk shuts. But this is a project I wanna get done because I don't like how goofy these turn signals are. I want them to work properly. And this isn't actually correct. After looking at my buddy's real Testarossa, I realized these are done a little differently. This turn signal should just be at the top. But hey, it's close enough. Hey, if you happen to know, if you recognize these turn signals and you know what they are, or are these entire brake light assemblies, put it in the comments if you recognize it. I've had people tell me they went to different cars. If you recognize what they are, I'm trying to identify them. Let me know. I'm gonna pop the trunk, which has to be done manually. Deep inside here is the button, and there we go. You'll notice I wanted to make a video about this, and I should have, that I removed these louvers that were here and this other stuff, and how I did it was using a rubber wheel on a drill. It's like a rubber eraser wheel, and it's a lot of work. It took me some time and a lot of cleaning, and I should have did a video on it. Sometimes I work on stuff and then I forget, and I'm like, I should have recorded that. But we're gonna do some more video on what we're gonna do about this, and I think that we're probably just gonna paint it because I was gonna use like black acrylic, but out here in Vegas, the sun is so hot. I was told that the acrylic would melt and warp, and then I had an idea of using just vinyl wrap, but that's gonna peel and crack too. And you can replace it every few years, but whatever. And then, but then I thought, you know what? I'll just paint it like lacquer black, and then I'm going to make a frame that's going to go around it out of aluminum that I'm going to also paint. And that will come together nicely, and it'll, look a little bit more better, I hope. All right, I've already taken the screws out of the back of this, so this thing here is free to just come off of here. And really, all I have to do is just move it there. And then all this plastic stuff is pretty standard and typical of the Firebird. Look, it has the spare. Come over here and I'll show you. Okie doke. So basically, you can see this fiberglass here, and the lights are real easy to get to. I think I had taken the one for the turn signal off before, which is way over here, which is all the way on the end over here. I believe it's just this one right here. And there it is. And so, let me see if this is a 1156 or 1157. That's just a 1156 bulb. You know, I'm questioning whether or not that's the turn signal. Yeah, it is. It is. That's the turn signal. Okay, so what I got to do is I got to figure out where these wires are coming from in this bundle of crap here. I think, oh, this isn't being held in by anything, which is super handy. Okay. All right. Ooh. I don't think I'm ever going to use that spare. But it's nice to know that, look at the factory wrench and the tools and everything is still here. And here's easy access to all this stuff. And also, look at that. All kinds of bundle of wires here. I don't know what all this goes to. I'm hoping that everything is just isolated here, and that I can make all the changes here and they're just fed that way, so I don't have to rip all this plastic out and get to this one. But that's not that hard to do. But it is a pain in the ass a bit. And I can get back there. It's so funny to me that, like, these cars were just made out of plastic and, like, literally cardboard. Like this whole tray is made of cardboard. Like, are you kidding, GM? Come on. Cardboard? Shit. Well, it looks like I got other problems. I got some bad bulbs. I need to go buy some fresh bulbs, make sure I've got good bulbs. I know I don't have any here. And I have to go down to the AutoZone, get some 1156s, 1157s. I don't want to put in LEDs because they're going to mess up the resistance. Shit. I went down to the auto parts store. I took the checker just to exercise it a little bit. Some guy saw me coming down the road and he came running out, going, "Hey, stop, stop." I guess he thought I was a taxi because it's a taxi, and he was trying to get a ride. I just blazed on past him. He's like, "Hey, what? Hey, wait. You got to keep the doors locked on that thing. People will just jump in there." So anyway, went and got some light bulbs from O'Reilly's. Got to tearing into this thing, and this is a cluster, you know the word. Nothing is wired correctly. None of it. I don't know if it was ever done correctly, but I just got to start from scratch. So basically, you know, looking at the tail light, you've got a reverse light, you've got a turn signal, you've got a running light, and then these are running lights and brake lights. So what I think the theory of operation should be is this is a running light that's always on whenever your running lights, headlights are on. Reverse light only works in reverse. Turn signal only works in turn signal. These two upper and lower lights here should be both running lights and brake lights. But could be used as just brake lights. But you want as much red light back here as you can. And the thing is, there is enough bulbs back here to do all of those things. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bulbs. This little one goes to the corner. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing is, the 1157s, which you know is the double nipple one, that's a 2-stage light. That is running light and then brake light. None of those are working. Also, there's a feed that comes up through here that's supposed to make contact to here to operate the third brake light, and that is not wired in correctly either. So what needs to happen is, whichever one of these is going to be a brake light needs to tag into that goes to the third brake light to operate, so that when you hit the brake, these upper and lower ones get bright and the middle one gets bright, brakes. But at all times when the lights are on, this light, same as this one here, is a running light, marker light as they call it. And then when you do turn signals, we'll have to convert the one that is currently the turn signal, through this box. I think that, you know, when you run into a situation like this, you'll rip your hair out trying to figure it out. And I think the best thing to do is to take a pair of snips and cut off all of these bulbs and all of these wires, get the Pontiac wiring diagram for this factory harness, figure out what these color-coded things do, and make new harnesses, wrap them in the convoluted wire with tape and shrink wrap, and do them properly the way they should have been done in the first place. Well, it is a couple of days later, and sorry I didn't record myself making wire harness terminals and cutting wires and splicing wires. You would have just watched me cursing and misery. So I'm just gonna have to describe what I had to do here, and I really can't show it to you because I've already put all this stuff back. Sorry I didn't record it all. I'm not Chris Fix, okay? Basically, coming this way, you have a wire harness that has a couple of simple wires on it. Got yourself running lights. You got yourself a right turn and stop, a left turn and stop. Got yourself a reverse light. And then you have an additional third brake light that's an isolated circuit. And this is important because cars that with a third brake light would have to have an isolated feed directly from the brake switch without a relay running right to the brake light, the third brake light, which on this car is right into the deck lid here. But the way they had things wired up, you know, we also learned that these taillights are like two different taillights that have been put together to make one big taillight on each side. I don't know why Paul did that when he was making the Turbo-Rosa, because the correct way to have made the Ferrari Testarossa taillight would have been to have the amber up at the top. Like really this whole top section and this section shouldn't even be here. Just this section would be more replicable of the Testarossa. But anyway, I think maybe he was trying to make it different on purpose. You know, that 20% rule. And I guess that's how he got away with making hundreds of these for so long, because he made enough of it different to avoid being sued by Ferrari, I guess. But anyway, what I did was I sampled from that third brake light and I wired that to now let's back up a little bit. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but if we go back, if we take a look, what was happening is you had the ambers turn signals lighting up with the brake lights, and you didn't have all of these lights lighting up. There was just like one little brake light here. It just wasn't hooked up correctly. It looked wrong and it wasn't right. Now I realized there's a reverse light here, and then there's another light here, which when I illuminated it, I found it was too bright to be a running light. It's a brake light, unless you put a dimmer bulb in it. Then you have these upper and lower bulbs. Now if I turn on, let me turn on the running lights here, which I should have had them on already. But with the running lights on, you now have this upper and lower here, right? Which is great. And that's what I wanted. So from that one brown wire that is the running lights, we're running these upper and lowers, the license plate, and also the side markers on each side. I hand rewired all of this. I made a whole new harness from scratch. Oh, my poor fingers are killing me. And these upper and lowers are 1157s. Those are the two-stage bulbs that are dim and then bright with double filaments. And then the amber turn signals, the reverse lights, and these brake lights are single 1156s. So in almost all American cars for like 50, 60 years, you only had 3 bulbs in the whole car. You had an 1156, which is a single filament, 1157, which is the dual filament, and you had a 194, which was all the markers, dash, whatever else. That's pretty much how most cars were. Now I'm going to demonstrate for you. I guess I'll go ahead and close this deck lid. There's really nothing in here I need to show you. When I hit the brakes, you'll notice how the brakes are illuminating. I now have my third brake light, And then notice those other ones on the insides, those are lighting up now, and those upper and lowers are lighting up. And if I wanted to, let me see, I'd have to put the key on. I didn't have the key on. There they are. And here comes the antenna. So that's how the reverse lights should look. And the radio's on. All right, the other thing now we have working finally are the turn signals. And let me talk about the turn signals for a minute. I have to thank my buddy Mike who helped me out with this problem. My flasher module just wasn't working. They weren't flashing. And in order to get this to work, we needed two things. We put in a, it's basically a module they make for trailers that converts what would be a brake turn signal into an isolated turn signal. And I had to order that on Amazon or whatever, or eBay, wherever it was. I'll put a link to the description if I could find one on there, and I'll add it there. But I want to think, I think I got it from etrailers.com, I want to say. I'm not sure, but I had to get it from a trailer place. But I had to wire this module in. So basically, the right brake and turn and left to right brake and turn had to go into that module, and then it separates that and sends out a separate feed. But after I put it in, my flasher module would no longer cooperate with it. So I had to put in a digital flasher with a variable speed timing. I'm sorry if this is all really boring for those of you that don't really care. But if you're ever trying to work with one of these systems, you're going to find this to be fascinating, and you're going to want to know about it, because if you're ever trying to hook up, like for instance, a trailer, or you're building a kit car, or you're modifying a car where you're putting European tail lights on or something like that, and you have an American car that would normally just have the red lights that serve as both a brake and a turn, in order to get this isolated amber turn signal without having your brake lights flash, because this is the issue. That third brake light feed is isolated from the brake and turns, because when it was hooked up originally, the third brake light would flash along with that. It was so messed up. And how, for the last 30 years, since 1989 or however long, this car was like that. Finally, after rewiring it all, in the year 2022, I have gotten all of the lights to function properly. So I can hit the brake and it's not flashing. There's the other turn signal. Finally working after all these years. So anyway, I'm sorry that I didn't show you the actual process a little bit more. But I just didn't feel like there was anything really to record. I mean, it's just me crimping wires and things. But it was a lot of work, and my hands are killing me. You know, some of the methods I used were basically daisy chaining. Like I would take a length of like black 16 gauge wire, like for instance, and I would run it like this. I would snip it, trim it, and then I would put a blade terminal on there, and then run it like this again, make another one, you know. And I had a whole bunch of those because every single light had to have its own ground. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I had to make this chain of grounds. And then I did the same thing with like the running lights. You know, I had to make the little daisy chain. And so that's how I did it. Then I put a piece of shrink wrap over each one and then bundled them all together, put that in some tube wrapping, and yada, yada, yada. New harness. But it was such a rat's nest under there. And now I'm very happy with how this is. Now, I can already hear people in the comments, Bob, why didn't you put in LEDs? Oh gosh, this is a whole other argument. And Mike said the same thing to me. Well, here's the reason I didn't put in LEDs. The deal is this. For one, the modern taillights that have LEDs in them are designed for LEDs. And a light emitting diode is meant to be looked at straight on. The way these old-fashioned lights are designed, the way the curvature of the interior of them is to take a round bulb, a round spherical bulb, and use that ambient light to fill the space. I find that when you take an old car like one of these, and you put in an LED, you end up with just a bright spot in the middle. And even the ones that look like a corn cob, they don't really fill the area with light the same way. I just don't think it looks the same, and I think it takes away from some of the nostalgia of these cars. I mean, these cars would have never had LEDs in them, and it just looks, I think it looks cheap. And maybe I'm alone in this, but I like the old school bulbs. They have a certain ambience to them, and I just like them that way. I just like that soft glow that you get from an old-fashioned incandescent bulb. And by the way, they're only like $1 a piece, right? I replaced all of these bulbs. Actually, I bought the more expensive ones that were like, you know, a few more bucks, that were the brighter xenon ones or whatever. But anyway, the point is I like the look of the old school lights. So that's why I didn't use LEDs. And the other reason I didn't use LEDs is because I would have had to wire in resistors and diodes and everything to work with the flashing in it. I didn't want to deal with any of that. So it's done. I'm very happy with it. Oh, and by the way, we did get the new wheel on. I love the pop-up headlights. Huh? Ah, they're so cool. So yeah, we finally got the other wheel on, and so Weld finally sent me the correct one. It was my fault, you know. It was a website glitch. Ordered one, they sent it, had the wrong offset, had to send that one back. Got this one. Believe it or not, after all these years, like since 1989, they still make the same ProStar series of aluminum wheels. And they're like $350 a piece. I think that's kind of pricey. They are super lightweight, but Weld wheels are very delicate. They bend easy, they crack easy, they separate. They're made for drag racing and going in a straight line. They're not really meant for road use, but this is what's on the car. So for right now, this lets me drive the car. I can enjoy the car and get out and drive it. My plan though is, there's a guy here in town, here in Las Vegas, that makes custom wheels. And he says he can make me a set of, like, you know, 18s or 20s or whatever, but he can make me a set of flat-faced, offset Ferrari style wheels. Now they're about $1,000 a piece or more. He said it would be to $4,000 to $5,000 for the wheels. But I was looking at buying some real Ferrari Testarossa wheels and then using adapters, and that's going to cost about the same amount of money. Whereas this way, he can have them made in a size that will accept a more current wheel size. I may go ahead and stick with 15s just to keep the look. But I thought about going with like a 17 or an 18 just because it, you know, it opens up my tire options. But I like having the thicker tires on there. It softens up the ride, and that's what was meant for this. But the thing that's important is that he could put the offset built into the wheel as they mill it, and it could be that thick, you know, and you just put a long lug bolt in there, and then you put the knockoff wheel cover on there, and then you can't even see the lug bolts anyway, and it'll look like a real Ferrari Testarossa wheel, flat-sided in the width that I want, and I can make them as wide as I want, and as wide as I can put a 15 or whatever size tire on. And this thing is coming along. I'm going to be putting in a new headliner because the one I have in there is sagging a little bit. I got another headliner, and I'm thinking about going ahead and changing out the entire interior. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do it, but I've been looking at Hawk's 3rd Gen. They sell carpet sets, seat sets, and I can buy right off the shelf. I can buy new carpet, I can buy new seat covers. And somebody was asking me, you know, I mentioned this before, and somebody was begging me for my seats. I have to use the same seats. We're just going to change the seat covers, and these seat covers aren't in good shape anyway. They've got some wear on them. So I was thinking about changing the entire interior into red. Red carpet, red seats, do some of the other trim in red. And I think red, black, and white would look a lot like my buddy's real Ferrari Testarossa. So that's the plan, I think, so far. All right, guys, that's about it for this particular video. I know it was pretty long-winded, me yakety-yakking. For those of you that are actually interested in how the wiring and electronics goes on this stuff, I'm sure you found it fascinating. But for now, I'm pretty much done with this thing. This is going to be a daily driver car for me. This car only has like 34,000 miles on it. It is a great car. Listen, as an 89 Trans Am GTA, this is a great everyday daily driver car. You can put hundreds of thousands of miles on these cars. Has a 350 TPI motor, badass transmission. The thing is tight. Every time you give it just a tiny bit of gas, it's, I mean, you know, and listen, I know it's not a real Ferrari. I'm not pretending to have a Ferrari. The people in the comments that never make it this far in the video, keyboard warriors, deleted, they're gone. So screw those people. My connection to my friend Paul is why I bought this car, for those of you who've been paying attention to the previous videos. But if this is your first time watching and you're just watching this video, basically when I was a teenager, I used to hang out in a custom car shop. There was a guy named Paul. He used to build these cars out of Trans Ams, and I dreamed about having one, and it helped inspire me to be the custom car builder that I am today. So having one of his cars brings me a little bit closer to my mentor and friend, and besides which, it's just a cool car. I really like it. I know it's not a real Testarossa, but I'm still having a lot of fun, and I guess that's all that really matters. Anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like content like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. We do live videos all the time. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm Videobob. Signal that's going to the taillight through this thing so that it'll convert it into a blinker. Shut up! I'm recording. Thank you.